I'd like to now welcome to the stage the man who helped make tonight and the past several days, which has just been phenomenal. Everybody was here at the culmination. He's the chair of the steering committee for the National Commemoration of the Armenian Genocide Centennial. He's the co-founder of 100 Lives, the initiative, which, by the way, is just brilliant. And the CEO of Flagship Ventures. Give him a big hand, our fearless leader, Dr. Noubar Afeyan.
Good evening, everyone. Your Holiness Karakin II, Catholicos of all Armenians, Your Holiness, First Catholicos of the Great House of Giligia, Your Eminences, Your Excellencies, friends, ladies and gentlemen, family. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. If you could only see from here how this awesome room looks, you would feel really the culmination of what we've been doing for the last few days. Responsibilities. I want to greet you on behalf of the steering committee, say a few words with that hat, and then move on because we want to get this evening going. Although I must say parenthetically, when we were organizing this, we had great debates about how long this evening would go. And I, for one, would ask for your indulgence because we waited 100 years for this. And I don't know what you're going to do after leaving here, but I don't have anything else to do. So please be patient. I also want to thank particularly His Holiness Karakin II and His Holiness Aram First, specifically for taking this journey. Clearly the commemorations leading up to April 24th were already taxing. Many of us were there at the canonization, and for them to get on a plane to come here only 10 days later, to be here and to be together is really very significant. I'd like to also thank my colleagues who are by now sick of being with me, the 5 archbishops who have formed the steering committee, Archbishops Hashak Barsamyan, Oshagan Choloyan, Bogdan Devrelian, Musher Martirosyan, and Deacon Akazian. They were the ones who initiated this project. I think it's important to understand that the church is the entity in America, the Armenian Church, that undertook giving all of us this occasion to become one community. By that I mean the diocese and prelacy. By that I mean the East Coast and West Coast. Nothing could have given our Armenian community in the United States a greater sense of faith and confidence in our future than seeing the two Catholicoi together during the last few days. And today, their outward demonstration of fraternal love, according to the teachings of our Lord Jesus Christ, is a strong signal to our community, and I think we should take it as that. Okay, so onto the program. The national commemoration in BC has been formed around the themes of awareness, unity, and gratitude. We will discuss all of these tonight, but as Mark mentioned, the most important one tonight will be to express our gratitude as the Armenian American community. Now, what brings us here tonight? I think all of you have a notion, but I would like just once, maybe once in our lives, to ask for your indulgence. And I'd like to ask everyone in the room who's a descendant of a survivor of the genocide to stand up. Simply amazing. Thanks. Please sit down. Let's recognize that this is a historic moment. Our ancestors survived, and that's why we're here today. It's truly inspiring to see all of us together tonight. Each of us has a unique story. And That story is coming back to life 100 years later. Many of you, over the last 2-3 days, have exchanged their family stories. All of us usually tell each other where our family came from, but very little else. And now it's time that we tell each other how it is that they survived, and how it is that those who perished, perished. Because these are real stories. These are not just faint memories for us. Tonight, we gather to remember and also honor the people who saved those of us who survived. That is our ancestors. The survivor stories that all of you carry with you also have in them folks who stepped in and saved heroically and at great risk to their lives. And this is a very important theme for us to focus on tonight. In my case, my grandfather was saved by a German officer working in the military of a country that was assisting the genocide, and yet individual officers saved hundreds, if not thousands, at the Berlin train station as part of the Berlin-Baghdad Railway. Others of you are descendants of survivors who were helped by American relief efforts in orphanages that were sponsored by many different countries. And what we have witnessed and what we discover every passing day is that people of many different ethnicities and faiths stood together to support Armenians, and that's remarkable, significant, and is also embodied in what we're seeing in the last few weeks, where those same nations and others are standing up and saying, we're with you today. Now, throughout the genocide, we saw these acts of kindness, and we must remember these people, and we must thank them. We must remember particularly, and this is a recent topic in the Armenian dialogue, the righteous Turks and Arabs and Kurdish neighbors who also risked their lives. We have to be grateful to anyone who stepped in, and we also have to give back, and we'll come to that a little later. But gratitude isn't the only emotion we want you to feel tonight. We also hope to inspire you to effect your own change in your own way, drawing on the stories of survivors and those we honor tonight.
We are here tonight to honor heroes, individuals, and organizations, those who put themselves at risk so that others, regardless of race, ethnicity, nationality, and religion, might not only survive, but thrive. We celebrate heroes of compassion and survival, of courage and righteousness, of acknowledgement and revival, heroes of responsibility and principle, of witness and memory, heroes of integrity, and those of justice and truth. Tonight, we honor these heroes and countless others who have taken action in the face of injustice, as all of us hope we would do, as all of us know we must do. So we ask you tonight to be reflective, to be grateful, to be inspired, to be a volunteer, to be a teacher, to be an activist, to be generous, to be a savior, to not just live, but to be alive.
So tonight we recognize the people in the organization who are part of our history, both in the past and in our shared presence. You are the force that's allowed us, the Armenians, to not only survive but to thrive. You are our heroes, and tonight we give thanks. We have 19 awards in 7 categories. that we will present throughout the evening. The awards were specially designed and generously produced and donated by renowned designer Michael Aram of New York. The inscription on them reads simply, Survivor's Gratitude Award. I'd now like to introduce our first category of Hero Awards. As we proceed, I'll introduce an award category name, its recipients, and then welcome these heroes to the stage to accept the award before returning to their seats. I'll then introduce the next category, and we will do these in bunches, so we just have the first third to go through, then we'll go on to our meals, and then we'll continue in this fashion. For our first category, the Award of Heroes of Responsibility and Principle, I welcome His Holiness Karakin II, Supreme Patriarch and Catholicos of all Armenians, to help me present these awards. The awardee for Hero of Responsibility and for Principle, our first Ambassador Henry Morgenthau. During the years of the Armenian Genocide, Ambassador Henry Morgenthau stood out with his early and courageous report, speaking openly and with strong conviction, raising the alarm and speaking publicly for the Armenians at the time. Morgenthau succeeded in persuading benefactors and missionaries to give practical and substantial help, but he was unable to deter the devastation that he saw around him. The later publication of Ambassador Morgenthau's story remains a classic and highly influential eyewitness account, including his personal views of high-level discourse and observations of the government officials who set the tragedy in motion. With his book and his dynamic public speeches, Ambassador Morgenthau spread the news of the genocide far and quickly, helping to raise over $1 million for vital aid. Here with us tonight to receive the award on his behalf is Henry Morgenthau III. The next award goes to United States President Woodrow Wilson. President Woodrow Wilson gave outspoken support for the Armenians during World War I and provided strong leadership for the many Americans who gave generously their money and service to aiding survivors of the genocide. While encouraging the work of Near East relief, he himself also campaigned to raise funds to send to help Armenians during the genocide. Wilson's moral vision of a future for Armenians returning to their homelands post-genocide was thwarted by internal and international politics at the time, but has not been forgotten and will not be forgotten. Woodrow Wilson was buried in the National Cathedral, where later his grandson, Francis Sayers, was dean for 27 years. Here with us tonight to receive President Wilson's award is Jessie Sayers Mack, President Wilson's great-granddaughter.
How does it feel to have taken over this project and realized a new dream for Armenians?
Well, last night, and you could see from my voice it was tiring, was a pretty big undertaking. Lots of people worked to prepare it, and I think it was executed well. I think the real purpose was to express gratitude to those who've helped us during the genocide and since to recover, as well as to hear messages from a diverse group of people about where we came from and where we're headed. The most gratifying thing was to feel the energy in the room. There was 2,300 people, and just the spirit in the room was palpable. It was forward-looking, optimistic, strong, I'd say confident. I think we've gained a lot of confidence in this 100th commemoration, and now with lots of anticipation about what comes next.
For me, the most inspiring, the most optimistic thing was your involvement. Where were you hiding, and what can you tell us, how will you be involved in the future?
Well, I have been involved in lots of things, but not organizations. I do a lot of development work in Armenia. I've gone to Armenia 5-6 times a year for the last 15 years, started a number of major philanthropic projects and continue to do that. In the United States, I've only really been involved in helping locally in Boston, build out our school and various projects. We have a cultural foundation, Yerazart, that is helping musicians in Armenia. So we do a number of projects, but this is my way of contributing is not through large visible events and organizations. But this was on the 100th centennial. The only reason I did this was because the church leadership asked that I contribute with my leadership, and I did that. But that's neither what I did before and not what I'll do going forward. Most likely. There's a number of us who have been discussing how to combine efforts and really try to go to the next level. I think we have a lot more strength and capacity than we realize. We need to gain more influence, especially in Washington, than we have. And so there's a lot of things going forward. I think we need to just channel the diaspora's energy and resources towards a better Armenia and better Armenians all around the world. And I think the mandate is clear. The organizations that exist today have to be willing to collaborate because clearly they were formed so long ago that they were against a different reality. So how we can bring them together, because starting from scratch doesn't make any sense either. That's a big job, and we're discussing how to do it, and urgently. This cannot wait.
Even President Sarkisian said we need to collaborate. The question is, under whose idea?
Well, he knows what he's talking about because we've talked to him as well. They need it. We need it in the diaspora. It's not a question of under whose leadership. It's really a question of under which mission. And I think missions and goals unite people. People sometimes do, sometimes don't. I think we first need a clear understanding of what can be done and how big we should dream, and then say what resources do we need. Included in those are people at all levels, including leadership.
Good, but I'm talking to you. Edelman, the public relations agency, did a fantastic job.
They did.
They disseminated information before you were done with your speech. It was out in the internet.
Exactly.
Don't we need to do the same thing? Because the whole idea is to let the whole world know.
We're going to do it with them.